Hey Steelers fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to our Pittsburgh Steelers news and rumor video here as training camp continues to roll on. I'm going to take a little bit of a risk today because I think it's a little early to do this video, but it might be kind of fun and give you my early camp cut candidates. So 5 players I think who are going to be cut based on the first, 10 days of practice, 8 days of practice, whatever the number is, and you get my point here. It's still early. So just because somebody is not rising up a depth chart fast enough or hasn't looked too good according to reports actually on the practice field does not mean they're guaranteed to be cut. But I'll give you some guesses here on who I think might be at least trending towards being a bubble cut candidate based on performance on the field. So let's jump into our first candidate, and you're going to notice a very odd name, and that's Mason Rudolph. And you might think, Thomas, I saw your video here on this channel a couple of days ago, and you were talking about the early camp winners, and Mason Rudolph was one of the first ones on your list. You said he's been better than any other quarterback, and he looks the most comfortable in this current offense. That's 100% true. That is 100% true. He has been the best quarterback by all reports so far out of Steeler training camp. Why is he on the camp cut candidate list? Because he's like the third-string quarterback right now. He's getting third-team reps. Kenny Pickett has vaulted over him, at least temporarily, into the number 2 spot, with Trubisky being with the number 1, despite the fact Trubisky has struggled a little bit as well. And so we introduced him as a camp cut candidate, say that three times fast, because there just isn't room here. We've talked about this a lot in the past. You just don't... are you really going to keep Mason Rudolph with the contract that he's on right now as a third-string quarterback? That's my real question. I think what is happening is he's playing well enough to hopefully showcase himself to another football team that will hopefully go ahead and make a trade for him. That's Rudolph's best hope right now. Whether that's Cleveland, whether it's Deshaun Watson gets a longer than 6-game suspension or not, whether that's some other team that has a quarterback injury during preseason, I don't know. But right now, I just don't see a scenario where he makes the roster. And it's the one player on my list, as you'll see, who's actually playing well. Right, the rest of these players are not standing out in any sort of way, hence they make the camp cut roster list, right? I mean, come on, this is how these things work. It's very, very obvious. I like Rudolph. I respect Rudolph. He's been grinding, but he's always just going to be a backup quarterback. But the problem is now he's not the backup quarterback of the Steelers. He's the third-string quarterback, and so I see them just going, hey, we tried to trade you, couldn't find anything. We're going to eat a little bit of dead cap money. It's not a lot. Cut Mason Rudolph, move on, and let him go sign with any NFL team because there will be a team that will sign him to be their true backup quarterback instead of the third stringer due to the fact that Kenny Pickett is there. And Pickett, again, up and down, not necessarily anything special. I was hoping for some early reports saying, ooh, Pickett looks super, super good. He hasn't looked super, super bad, but it hasn't been like, wow, this rookie has figured things out quickly. And honestly, that's not a big deal. It's expected. He's a rookie quarterback. So first one on the list is the shocker. Wanted to get it out of the way, explain why he's on the list. I just don't see a scenario where he ends up making this roster in any significant way, and so I think he's going to be let go. Ad break pin comments, we get started here. Name a player who you think will be cut. Give me that, a pin comment. So just the top comment that we have here at the channel, they'll have it posted on there, and then reply to that. Name a player you think who will be let go. All right, so now we get into the more realistic ones in terms of the fact that they haven't been performing well or they're just further down on the depth chart, right? So we get some real actual names here, starting with Marcus Allen, the off-ball linebacker, who has not really flashed so far at training camp based on all the reports that I have read. And the inside linebacker, really off-ball linebacker position, is a little bit crowded right now, and he has to flash at special teams. That's his one real shot to make this roster is to be a special teams player on kick coverage, on punt coverage, and he still might do that, but here's a great example of a player who will ride or die based on preseason. And I know that preseason is not everything in terms of the games. There's still tape happening on 11-on-11s during actual practices and stuff, but truly, if he plays well in 3 preseason games, I think he gets a roster spot. If he doesn't, gone. I mean, he's going to be most likely let go. So Allen is another player that makes our list here just due to the fact that you're going to crowd a position group, and there just isn't a lot of flashiness happening right now by Allen himself to potentially draw the eyes of the coaching staff to make this roster. What do you guys think? Like this video if you guys are pumped for the first preseason game. Tonight is the Hall of Fame game if you're watching this here early on a Thursday morning, because the Hall of Fame game is, the official start of preseason. Now it's Raiders and Jaguars, so don't really care that much. But preseason in general is still fun, except for Steeler preseason games. Give this video a thumbs up down below. Okay, next player on our list, we are almost always mention the backup running back spot here on the channel because it's highly competitive, despite the fact it's been highly unimpressive, if you will, so far. And Andy McFarland is another player, I think, who very much could be let go by the end of training camp. Now, I'll explain why here in just one second. First, though, if you guys want to get in on the Steeler football betting game once the preseason or the NFL season starts, do that, friends, at BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet is the link that you need. Promo code is Steelers125. Get you a 125% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up. To give you $225, you put $100 down. So the deposit bonus, 125%. I mean, it's pretty darn good in terms of giving you some extra cash. You can bet on NFL games or bet on Offensive Rookie of the Year, as mentioned earlier this week. Kenny Pickett, he's your leader for Offensive Rookie of the Year, despite the fact he might not start. Plus 550 there, you bet $100, you win $550. Got Drake London, Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson, and George Pickens. There you go, plus 5,000. Win a bunch of money if he were to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's been very, very impressive so far, hence not on our list today. Not that he would be, but you get my point. Jump in on the betting game through their friends at BetUS, chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code Steelers125. Now, back to the running back situation. Again, it's not like there's a bunch of other backs who are way, way better than Anthony McFarland. He's just not really flashed at all. I mean, have you even read his name on Twitter? You following all the guys who are actually at practice? I know that that's not the only way to be impressive, but normally there would be like, oh, McFarland looked great today, and there's been nothing on that. I mean, literally anything you read has not mentioned his name. The one running back who has been impressive is Jaylen Warren. We mentioned that in a winner video a couple of days ago. The rookie undrafted free agent out of Oklahoma State has been impressive, and he's been good, and I think that he has a real shot to make the roster. He's stupid cheap in terms of the price. I mean, goodness gracious, not only is he a running back, an undrafted free agent, his pennies on the dollar. I mean, just happy to make the roster. So I think McFarland is in jeopardy, maybe of being cut. Again, you got to really kind of, project here, but maybe not even being running back 2, much like Marcus Allen, preseason games be a big, big factor for the running backs. Who do you guys think so far has been the second best running back on this roster? Let me know down below in the comment section right now. I think it's Warren. Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe it's not, but let me know your pick for the best running back on the roster right now. All right, next player is a great example of seeing somebody not rise up the depth charts when they need to, and that is Tre Norwood. And now it's an interesting situation because Minkah it's the wrist injury, wrist, finger, whatever it is, the hand injury. I forget exactly what happened when he fell off a bike during his vacation pre-training camp, either way. So he's been out of practice, right? Out of the 11-on-11s, a lot of non-contact there. He's doing conditioning and stuff, but, he's not in the 11-on-11s. And so if you're Tre Norwood, you would hope that you would be bumped up the safety depth chart. Well, that's not been the case so far, as Devontae KZ has been taking over his reps, which basically means that they don't think Tre Norwood is as good as KZ, meaning he's falling down the depth chart on what is a very crowded position. When you have a situation where you have a guy like Minkah as the one who's like a Pro Bowler and, fantastic player, it just makes the need for more depth at that spot a little bit less. Teams do carry 3 safeties at one of the safety spots. You got another safety spot there as well, but no more than 4 total. And so the odds of Norwood, I think, making the roster are diminishing a little bit unless they feel the need for extra safeties, or he has some, some serious special teams abilities, which obviously are any player's way to possibly make a roster if they can't start. All right, if you guys call yourself a real Steeler fan, give this video a thumbs up right now. Give me at least a thumbs up emoji. You should really hit the thumbs up button, but comment thumbs up emoji down below as well. But let's get to 500 likes here. I think there are a lot of real Steeler fans who follow us here, over 15,000 strong in terms of subscribers. If you guys like our channel, we love our subscribers. We appreciate you guys, so give this video a thumbs up. I appreciate you guys. I know you guys appreciate us. Okay, one more player here who is at least getting a demotion, or at least has been demoted so far during training camp. Cut is going to be a little tight because there are 53 spots on a roster, which is still a lot of players. Isaiah Loudermilk is definitely someone who has not been impressive so far, and it's not necessarily due to the fact that he's been terrible, just not as impressive as the other players around him. That's one of the worst parts of training camp as a player is not only is it you against yourself, it's you against these guys next to you. So you have a bad day, the guy you're battling with has a good day, it's all on film, it's all in the defensive line room, they're going to break it all down, you're not going to look good. Big factor here is DeMarvin Leal. Leal's looked pretty good, and I think that he is definitely going to be competing for a rotational spot in this roster, as most defensive linemen do rotate in there, not a starter, obviously, but, a lot of people thought he would eventually be a first-round draft pick coming out of A&M, had a bad final year in the SEC, slipped to where the Steelers got him later on in the draft, and, it still looked pretty good. So, good news there for Leal, but that implies some bad news for Loudermilk, who is battling for a roster spot, but the defensive line's a little bit thin. We talked about that in terms of interior run defense, and so I think he has a chance to make the roster, but definitely a bubble candidate here, possibly a cut candidate when it all is said and done. Okay, we'll end on this quick question, then we'll wrap up for you guys today on a Thursday. You guys care about preseason games? I mean, you get your first one tonight, as mentioned, with the Hall of Fame game. Obviously, you get a lot more, actual Steeler games coming up, 3 of them starting next week. Do you guys care about these games? If you do, give me the scale of 1 to 10. 10 being like you're super, mindful of them, you care about them a lot. 1 being like not at all. Curious where you guys are at. Let me know down below right now. Okay, ultimate today on our Pittsburgh Steelers news and rumor video. I'm your host, Thomas Mott, signing off for the rest of your day.